We have some pretty big news to discuss today regarding the 2026 Olympic Hockey Tournament. Hockey Canada today's announced they'll be hosting an orientation camp at the end of August and invited over 40 players to participate, all of which will be under consideration for the Olympic team. We'll discuss who's been invited and who can make the team coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have some important news to discuss here regarding the Olympics. Of course, the Olympic Hockey Tournament will be returning to having NHL players this coming season. During the 25-26 season, we'll have a stoppage in February where the NHL players will all head to Italy and participate in the Olympic tournament for hockey for the first time in quite a long time, way too long in fact, and we're going to get to see another best on best tournament. Of course, we had the Four Nation tournament last year, which I think by many accounts surpassed many expectations and was highly entertaining. This should be even better, considering that we'll have even more countries and even more NHL star players able to participate. It should be a really fun time, and obviously countries are starting that prep work now to get ready for that tournament. I know Team Canada has announced that it's going to be hosting an orientation camp in Calgary, Alberta near the end of August from the 26th to the 28th. I believe USA Hockey is going to be doing the same thing. I don't know if the dates will be the same, but near the end of August, I know they're going to be having an orientation camp as well, and I suspect many other countries will do something similar as a way to prep for the season and prep to get an idea on who's going to be on the team. Of course, we know that nations have already announced the first 6 players on the team, so some of these guys are already confirmed to be there. But a lot of these players that were on the Four Nation team for Canada are already going to be invited as well, which is not really a big surprise. The team had a lot of success. They won the tournament. And really, generally speaking, I don't know that anybody kind of played their way off the tournament or off the team for the next tournament here, which is not all that far away. So let's go through the 40-plus players that Hockey Canada has invited to this orientation camp. We know that these players for sure are going to be monitored and be considered for the Olympic team. Just because a player is not on this list, I wouldn't completely rule out the likelihood or possibility that they could play their way onto the team. If they have a blistering start to the season and kind of, catch somebody's radar here, I would say that it is possible that they could do it. But considering the star-studded talent that have already been notified and invited and are known to be in the mix, it's going to be tough to play their way beyond this group of players. But I also did make a list of some of the more notable names that were left off of this. But of course, when you're, a country like Canada and the U.S. and some of these countries that have very deep, talented pools of players, there's going to be some good players left off. And that's just the way it is. It's really nothing to be ashamed of. You have a lot of talent here to pick from. So we have in goal, there's only 3 goalies, which this is the part that I'm most surprised about. And it's the same 3 goaltenders that were on the Four Nation tournament. We have Jordan Binnington, Samuel Montembeault, and Aiden Hill. Now, not shocked that those 3 are on the list by any means. They were all on the Four Nation team. They all had pretty good seasons. They're obviously some of Canada's better goaltenders. So, again, no surprise. But what did Logan Thompson do to really tick somebody off? We know that there was speculation that both of his former coaches, and Bruce Cassidy and Peter DeBoer, who are on the coaching staff of this team, were not fans of him. I'm not sure why, and I don't know for sure that's 100% true, but there is some speculation that they are what's holding him back from getting an invite. Now, Darcy Kuemper, another notable name, also had a phenomenal season last year for the Los Angeles Kings, a really good bounce-back year. Again, would he make the team? It wouldn't be shocking if they went with the same 3 goalies. I'm just a little surprised that they don't add another couple of guys in the mix. Thompson and Kuemper outplayed these guys down the stretch, especially last year once they announced the tournament, Four Nation rosters. These guys were pretty darn good the rest of the way, and I think they were kind of playing with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, not to mention trying to help their teams get into the playoffs and, for other reasons as well. So the same 3 goaltenders for right now. On defense, we have a variety of players, including all the D that were at the Four Nation tournament, and some new names that are going to be considered as well. So we have Edmonton Oilers defenseman Evan Bouchard, newly acquired defenseman for the Montreal Canadiens, Noah Dobson. Veteran from the Los Angeles Kings, Drew Doughty. Of course, Drew was on the last team. Barely made it on, though, because he obviously broke his ankle in preseason action last year and just barely got back in time to get his way onto the team. Aaron Ekblad of the Florida Panthers. We have Thomas Harley of the Dallas Stars, who ended up being a injury replacement last year after Shea Theodore ended up getting hurt very early in the tournament. They were allowed to bring in another player, and obviously there was a lot of players on vacation and had other plans. Harley's a good defenseman, but it did help that he was available to be there as well, and certainly got a chance to play, and he looked pretty decent when he was in there. So not shocked that he's in the mix here as well. Of course, Colorado Avalanche defense pair, Cale Makar and Devon Toews are both there. Again, not surprising at all. I fully expect them to be on the team. We've got Seattle Kraken defenseman Brandon Montour, former Stanley Cup champion with the Florida Panther, of course. Montour's had some good seasons as of late. Josh Morrissey, of course, who was on the team last time from the Winnipeg Jets. Colton Parayko, who was with the Four Nation team as well from the St. Louis Blues. Travis Sanheim, another player from the Four Nation team from the Philadelphia Flyers. Shea Theodore, as I mentioned, from the Vegas Golden Knights, was on the team last time, got hurt, and, ended up missing the tournament and a bunch of time afterwards. But he certainly is still a very good defenseman and will be considered to be on the team again. And Calgary Flame defender Mackenzie Weegar. The main defenseman that I think could have been on this list and wasn't is Senators defenseman Thomas Chabot. It's not shocking that he isn't. I'm not saying that he's got gypped or anything like that, but he's about the only other name that I would have considered in this group of D. If you look at some of the other defensemen last year and based on their stats, I would say that Chabot had a comparable season to guys like Weegar and Montour. If you look at his production, minutes played, a lot of his defensive metrics, like there's a comparable to be made there for sure. Obviously, those guys have put up more goals more recently, might be more looked upon to run a power play, and that might be it. They've also probably, I think, had a little bit more time with Hockey Canada more recently here as well. But, Chabot's put in a lot of time with Hockey Canada in the past at both the World Junior and the World Championship levels. But that's a great group of D-men to pick from. Outside of Chabot, like I said, he's about the only one that I would even consider to put in this group that's not there. Obviously, the guys that were there last time, like I said, you've got Makar, you have Toews, Theodore, Sanheim, Morrissey, Doughty, and of course Parayko, Harley. So now we're going to, obviously consider adding guys like Ekblad, Dobson, Bouchard, as well, Montour, Weegar. So great to pick from. Now, I'm not sure what the Olympic roster is going to look like. I know because they're traveling so much further that they are going to be probably taking a little bit bigger roster or one or like a couple of extra players that they will be able to activate if need be, if injuries happen. Because, obviously the Four Nation tournament was between Canada and the States. It wasn't that difficult to find a player who could get there, with lots of players being around the two countries. But you're all the way over in Italy. That's a little more challenging to get there within like a day's notice and actually be ready to play. So yeah, there's definitely going to be a little bit more players that are going to be taking part here. The forward group is a big group, and it's kind of a current generation, next generation mix, which is nice to see, but lots of guys here are going to be considered. This is in alphabetical order as well, just like the defensemen were. Connor Bedard of Chicago Blackhawks, Sam Bennett from the Florida Panthers, Quinton Byfield of the Los Angeles Kings, Macklin Celebrini of the San Jose Sharks. We got Sorelli from the Tampa Bay Lightning, Sidney Crosby, of course, Captain Canada. We know he's on the team for sure from Pittsburgh. Brandon Hagel from Tampa had a nice tournament for Team Canada last year. Bo Horvat, former Canuck captain, current New York Islander. Zach Hyman of the Edmonton Oilers. I do wonder if Hyman may get a spot since he is so comfortable and has experienced the last few years playing with Connor McDavid in Edmonton. We've seen guys make teams before, mainly because they're the wingman of a top star player. Chris Kunitz, for example, with Crosby. We saw the McDavid line in the Four Nation tournament. He, kind of struggle a little bit. Obviously, McDavid came up huge when it mattered most, but John Cooper struggled to find the right mix to play with McDavid. And I know he tried Marner a bunch of times. They ended up connecting for the game-winning and tournament-winning goal, but generally speaking, that connection wasn't really fantastic. So I do wonder if a guy like Hyman could end up on the team to make sure that McDavid has a winger that he has chemistry with, that he's used to playing with. We'll see. Seth Jarvis is also on this invite list. Again, no big surprise. He was on the Four Nation team. Wyatt Johnson from the Dallas Stars. Travis Konechny from the Flyers, who was on the last team as well. Nathan McKinnon of the Avalanche. Of course, he was right there. Same with Brad Marchand for now the Florida Panther. Of course, he was still a Boston Bruin when this last tournament took place. Mitch Marner, now the Vegas Golden Knights. Of course, Connor McDavid, no surprise, Edmonton Oilers captain. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, that one was a little bit of a surprise. I mean, of course, Nugent's got a long history in the league. Former first overall picks, had a great career. Another guy who's played with McDavid at times, so I'm not sure if that's the kind of the thought process here or not, but he'll be considered. Braden Point, who we know is on the team as well from Tampa. Sam Reinhart, who's also been confirmed to be on this team as well from the Florida Panthers. Mark Scheifele, who I think was probably the last cut of the Four Nation team and was probably the next call for any forwards that get injured or anything like that. So he just missed out on being on this team before. I suspect he'll have a good chance to be on this one. Mark Stone, of course, captain of the Golden Knights, had a pretty good tournament for Canada. Had a chance to play with Crosby a bit, played with McDavid a bit. He was a very versatile player. You could put in a variety of roles and a variety of lines. Nick Suzuki, captain of the Montreal Canadiens, was invited to this camp as well. Same with John Tavares from the Toronto Maple Leafs. Robert Thomas from the St. Louis Blues. Carter Verhaeghe from the Florida Panthers. And big, strong, tough winger Tom Wilson. Not surprised to see Tom Wilson's name here at all. Amongst the younger group, the main one that surprises me is Quentin Byfield. I was a little bit surprised by Byfield. I was a little bit surprised by Nugent-Hopkins. Probably the main ones. You know, I wasn't sure if we'd see like Tavares or Verhaeghe. Those names are a little less surprising, but, you know, not completely shocked. Nice to see guys like Celebrini and Bedard. I know Bedard has been working hard all summer. Celebrini's currently out east right now with the Nova Scotia group, hanging out with Crosby, McKinnon, Batherson, all those guys that train in Nova Scotia. Marchand just had a cup party there the other night. Of course, a lot of those guys were invited. So, like, you know, Celebrini, I think, is going to have a really good chance to be on this team. We'll see what Bedard can do to start the season, but I know Bedard seemed to be really frustrated and really wanted to take his game up a level, and he's been working super hard this summer. It's going to be a big year, I think, for him, and it'd be, you know, I think it's great if they can play well enough to justify being on the team, to see guys like Celebrini and Bedard get that experience, because they are going to be likely a huge part of the future of Hockey Canada for the Olympics and other tournaments down the road. So we will see. I mean, as far as guys that didn't get the call to be invited to this orientation camp for forwards, I mean, if you look through the top scores from last year, there's really, they did invite a lot of talented players. Matt Duchene from Dallas was one of the higher scoring guys that didn't get a call. Dylan Strome from Washington. Jordan Kyrou from St. Louis. But I mean, there's so many guys to pick from that, you know, even amongst this large group of forwards, you know, there's a bunch that are not going to make it. And, you know, they're invited to this camp. They'll be monitored. They'll be told you're on the radar type of thing. But there's a bunch that are going to probably be, I suspect, hard-pressed to make the team. Like, I think probably fair to say, like, a lot of the guys that were on the Four Nation team will stand a really good chance to be on this team again. And you're probably going to have to outplay one of those guys to take their spot. Of course, injuries will obviously play a role here as well. But like, I know guys like Scheifele and like Suzuki, Thomas, they're all like centers that were close to being on the team before. So, you know, it's going to be a challenging but good problem to have that you have so much talent to pick from. It's just a matter of, can you pick the right mix and put the right team together that comes out on top. That's the difficult part of this process. Like I said, I do know that USA Hockey is going to be conducting pretty much an identical exercise, same kind of camp. I don't know if the dates are going to be the same. Their selection camp roster should be announced. I'm not sure when it's coming out, but I suspect where Hockey Canada has put theirs out, that over the course of this weekend sometime, we're likely going to find out the USA list as well. I know there was a report earlier from Tony Marinaro, who covers the Montreal Canadiens, saying that he's heard that Lane Hudson was not on Team USA's list. That's all I've heard about the USA team thus far. If it comes out, or when it does come out, I'll likely do another video talking about that roster. But some big names. Let me know your thoughts on who is going to be on this team. I mean, if you look at, like I said, the roster from before for Four Nations, you know, I think we could see a change or two on the blue line. It wouldn't be shocking. And in the forward group, I could see maybe a couple changes as well. But it's going to be boiled down to, like, who is going to outplay who. I think this is going to really ramp up the level of play to start the season strong, because a lot of these guys are already really good players. You know, they're going to be playing hard for their teams because they want to do well and help their teams. They want to work towards getting the playoffs, winning a Stanley Cup, and all those things that they do all the time. Then you have this extra little added bonus of representing their country and getting on the big stage of the Olympics and having a chance to win a gold medal. I think it should make for a really good, high quality start to the NHL season to give these guys a little something extra to play for. So let me know what you think and who's going to make this roster. Give me your predictions down below in the comments. We'll discuss further. I'll likely be doing a prediction video a little bit later, predicting who I think is going to be on this team. But you have to think the ones that are on the Four Nation team will have an edge to start the season, and then injuries and play will dictate any changes from there. But let me know what you think in the comments. We'll talk further. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. I'll be back later with another video recapping the rest of today's news around the NHL. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time.